Okay, I'm gonna be honest, guys. As I'm sitting here looking at myself in the mic, getting more and more buzzed, I'm really obsessed with myself.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Star Wars Generations Podcast. During these announcements, I hope to slowly gain the attention of both of my fellow guests and co-hosts. One of them is now paying attention. The other is glaring at me while she continues to text on her phone. But I am super excited today because we have been joined by Alex Corman, one of my regular co-hosts. Erin McGowan cannot be here, unfortunately. Instead, we've got a very grumpy Mystique. Now, even though she's blue, and even though this is a Star Wars podcast, I've been told that she is not a Chiss, she is not Admiral Arlani, but this is Mystique, because the X-Men can be Spider-Man fans, because the X-Men can be Star Wars fans, because Spider-Man was a Star Wars fan, as in when he talked about that real old movie, Empire Strikes Back, and made all of us want to kill him because we felt old. For those of you
listening, the Lego Death Star.
Right? For those of you who are just listening and not watching, we are on video more often these days. You should definitely check it out. We have a YouTube channel. We have some other great places you can watch. All the links are in the show notes. But let's actually get to this podcast because we are talking about The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 8. The Mystique comments I made is because Erin McGowan, cosplayer extraordinaire, is showing off her new Mystique costume. There's something happening with the lighting, so it is not the way it should be properly seen, but it is still pretty badass. Meanwhile, my computer has decided it's going on strike. I think I'm a very nice boss, but apparently it doesn't. I do support worker rights, but I might need to just throw it in the river and get a new one. We'll see. I guess that's not very good for worker rights, but the point being, it's why you can't see my face. Don't throw workers in the river. Support unions, support strikes. But the point being here that my computer is dead. I'm using a laptop, so the sound is not perfect. Everything is not perfect, but hopefully we are still going to have a great podcast. So now that I have gotten at least partway through my manic meanderings, Erin, what do you think of this episode?
Oh my gosh. As always, great up. I will say, huge letdown for me in one aspect only. The day before it released, there were some like photos or screenshots or whatever released online about it, and it was, picture of Hunter's helmet by some water, and we were all really hoping and praying we'd get to see Hunter just wet hair. Like that hair just like dripping. So that was like a big letdown for me this episode, but overall we got some cool stuff. I loved seeing Fennec again. I always like when we go after like a character, a bounty hunter, and it's not someone we've already met. Because with Star Wars, as much as I love the universe and how interconnected it is, we tend to get reruns, which sometimes is beautiful, sometimes I'm sick of it. So I do love getting like cool new character, cool new planet where, it's like mostly water. You can't breathe the air unless you're a specific species. Like just all that cool stuff that reminds me why I love Star Wars so much, because it has this kind of diversity. Let's see, got some cute stuff with Crosshair and Omega. Otherwise, we saw at the very end Fennec do something suspicious. Yeah. Does anyone want to give a plot summary?
I think that you kind of touched on a lot of it.
Sweet.
And I do want to say, first of all, when you said there was a letdown, there was something else that got a little more information put out into the world that a lot of us have been eagerly waiting for, that I thought we were going to get, and I think kind of got teased, but we still haven't gotten fully revealed. We're going to talk about that more in a "Are you aware of the spoilers from the trailer" kind of section in the second half, because I do want to honor those who do not watch trailers. But yeah, I was let down about that very severely, which we'll talk about. But I will say I did not know about the potential for Wet Hair Hunter. I don't think that it's hard for me to visualize it in a I need that in my life, but I'm sure that if we get it, I will be convinced that we need that in our lives.
Well, it's fine. I get that you don't need it in your life, but Mystique needs it in her life, and she needed it yesterday.
I'm just learning every episode more about, like, if anyone who Erin dates in the future needs to come back and listen to these episodes, and they'll just learn. They'll just learn what Erin needs in her life.
We need to take these off the internet immediately.
Alex, I feel like you and I are going to be those two like annoying, like younger uncles or older cousins who just like, are just going to. Erin's forever our Omega. That's the thing.
And she is, and Omega's becoming Erin. I literally texted both of them this morning, y'all, after watching the episode, because Omega's in a new outfit. and just looks a little more mature, just slightly. And every episode, I'm like, Omega's just evolving into Erin. She's just becoming Erin. So,
I mean, it's what all young girls should want to be. It's all young people. All people really should want to be. I'm not quite seeing it the extent that you are, but yes.
I am peak existence. Everyone should be me at the end of the day.
Mystique or Erin?
Erin.
Mystique, because she can shapeshift.
Well, okay, that too.
Both just. Okay, we're off.
Anyway,
we're off course.
We are in tangent land, but I'm going to pull us back to the shore. Mr. Corman, what do you think of this episode?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it. I think it definitely is the most fillery of the episodes we've gotten so far. Like, it still had a purpose, but it wasn't like, the main line of, getting getting the crew kind of more put together. I was a little disappointed we didn't get any moment of last episode we left off, they had just escaped and Rex and Echo are now just off. I would have liked to see a moment where they're kind of trying to collect themselves, and I need some Gregor content is what I was also kind of hoping to see a minute of that in the beginning, but I don't know. They kind of skipped a little bit, which I get it for time, but I would have liked a little bit of that. Always fun seeing Fennec though. I think it just deepens her character, and I think the praying mantis bounty hunter guy, what's his name? They were hunting at the end. They were hunting with Fennec. Whatever his name was, that dude was cool. He had some moves. I was like, damn, I kind of wish that we could have seen him in action more. Like, that guy was cool. But I also agree at the end, we'll get into it later, but that is 1,000% who Fennec has reached out to.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to say it too much, but I will say I was disappointed with Praying Mantis guy because he wasn't the person who we now think that maybe Fennec was reaching out to at the end.
Yeah.
But we'll get into more of that. Overall, though, I absolutely love this episode. And I will say a lot of it was even deepened by by the time this episode goes on the air, already on the air will be an episode I just recorded yesterday with Danielle, written in the Star Wars, another huge, huge Clones fan. And we recorded an episode specifically about her love of the clones and them showing up in this episode, particularly Rex and Wolf. It was a great conversation, but she just pointed out so many things that I hadn't really seen, particularly in terms of some of the animation. For example, the fact that last week, 2 weeks ago now, when we had that beautiful shot of Hunter standing in the kind of open doorway of his ship and Crosshair standing in the open doorway of his ship, and clearly there being a big gulf between them, the light from their two ships moved towards each other, but there was a gulf in between, and how that was just incredibly symbolic, and that lighting like that has been used a number of times since then. And the parallels that they were able to draw in this episode of, really focusing on what Crosshair is going through and how Omega is able to help him with that, in part because of all the stuff that she learned in season 2 about how to self-calm and deal with her own emotions. I just loved every part of it. And it reminded me again of how much intentionality there is to this show. Just, it feels like everything they're doing with a purpose. And I am bothered by the thing that we're not going to talk about, but that we would probably just have to talk about pretty soon. But I think I would be a lot more bothered by it if it wasn't that I felt like they have a reason. Because it does feel at this point like every single thing they're doing, there's a reason for.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. There's definitely a reason. I think I was just getting at that, I felt like maybe it's just me missing the whole band being together again. It was the first time we kind of we split the party up again. And I think I hate when we split the party. I think I'm just salty about that.
I would agree with that. I do want to see everyone together. You want more Gregor content. I said Regor, which is kind of the thing I'm looking for. I want Wrecker and Gregor together.
That would be incredible.
Because
I feel like the two of them have very similar energy in that they are both, big, loud mouth. They have no filter. They say the first thing that comes to mind. They love big explosions. But again, coming from Danielle, she was pointing out that Wrecker is in many ways the most emotionally mature, at least mostly in touch with himself of the Bad Batch. And I think Gregor is in some ways the same too. So would love to see more of the two of them together.
I agree.
I'll also say, I think this reminded me of why I like the filler episode so much. And I say filler with big quotes. I feel like this show is, to give a comparison, and this is somewhat of a tangent, but I hope it makes sense. We did coverage of all the episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender on my other podcast, Superhero Ethics. And on that, we talked about how this was just like the pure meat, cut out all the fat, cut out all the trimmings. And I find myself really missing that it was like all it was the stories that directly drove the story forward. And in the show, really almost every episode is a side quest that is either connected to or just happening along the way of the main quest.
Mm-hmm.
And all those little side quests actually help to fill in the world so much more and build things so much more, as well as make it feel like it wasn't rushing all the time. And I think it's what I loved about season 1 is it didn't even feel like filler. And side quest even quite the right word. It's more like, for anybody who played World of Warcraft and Skyrim, I think was like this as well. You could go off and do quests that had nothing to do with the main quest. Or you could just do the main quest, but every now and then you'd get to a point where someone would say, okay, I have what you need to do the main quest, but before I will give you that, you have to go milk my goats. Or, like go, in one case in World of Warcraft, go get that book that's literally just 3 feet away. Sometimes they were ridiculous, but they made interesting stories. That's what this feels like. And yeah, the idea of like Fennec's going to help them, but only if they do this other thing, and that's going to bring up all the Fennec stuff. I just loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, and I think I agree with that. That is something I love about Avatar as well. I think I'm just still hung up on like, why can't we just go to parade and include Omega and Crosshair? Yeah,
that would be silly stupid.
Why would that be silly stupid?
Because Omega is a fugitive.
And let her be free.
And Crosshair's the scariest one, so they had to leave her with Scary Dog.
Yeah, Scary Dog who can't shoot a gun right now.
Shh. He can shoot normal guns.
Like, normally I'm with you. I like to see the whole group together, but I do think that we're getting to learn more about the individuals by spending time together. And frankly, the Crosshair Omega, like, even putting aside the acting and the dialogue, just the visuals of it. There was a moment where Crosshair and Omega are sitting there and the sun is setting, and like I've already seen screenshots of it that I want to make as my screensaver. It was just that visually beautiful.
Yeah, I love what they've done with the visuals this season so far. Like, it's just after every episode, my Pinterest For You page is just filled with like aesthetic shots of like beautiful scenery from the Bad Batch this week. Along with those the posters they're releasing basically every week with episodes. Holy crap. Like, just everything about this show is so well planned out, and like everything is intentional. You already mentioned Danielle, written in the Star Wars, but I saw a video of hers yesterday talking about a poster that has Omega and Crosshair's holding his injured hand. And Danielle drew a parallel between Crosshair's hand tremor and the fact that Hemlock wears one glove and always is holding that hand and rubbing his palm in the same way that Crosshair is.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
What could the connection be that they're both having this weird hand tremor? Like, if Hemlock can't fix it, how are they going to fix it? Or like, why does Hemlock have it? Did they do the same thing to Crosshair? Like, and so just this idea of like, yeah, we've tried physical therapy with him. AZ says that's not going to work. Like, it's not your body. I can't fix your body. You have to fix your mind. And Crosshair's like, fuck you, man. And Omega's like, it's time to talk about your feelings. So we'll see how that goes in the next few episodes. I doubt we will talk about our feelings, but
you never know.
I think that we will learn about people's feelings without necessarily being quite so direct about them. And I'm very okay with that.
Let's never speak about them, but just express them.
Do y'all think that it is in Crosshair's head? Like AZ was suggesting?
I mean, yeah, I think it's either like a trauma thing. I think it could even be like after effects of the chip enhancement he underwent. Because they like just turned the power of his chip like way the fuck up and then eventually took it out. But like that can't be healthy. So it's either that or it's part of the training that they tried to do to turn him into a shadow trooper. I do think that it could definitely be mental versus physical. I'm just taking AZ at their word, you know? And that's like what's going to give Crosshair the most personal growth.
For me, there's a couple of things. One, and this is by no means a critique. I just want to kind of add this to the conversation. I do think the phrase "just in your head," I know exactly what you both mean by it, but I think it can sometimes be misunderstood as being kind of like dismissive of like psychosomatic pain, which I think is very real and a very like important thing. But I really appreciate the way you both are talking about this. And I would have said that I thought that there was that I thought it was some level of like him punishing himself or him thinking like that he hasn't, you know, that because the breach between him and the rest of his brothers hasn't healed, that he hasn't healed fully. I still think all of that's possible. But given what Erin, you just said about what Written in the Star Wars had said about that it's the same thing that is happening to Hemlock, we had talked a while ago about how Hemlock has always appeared to be very like he's not a Sith. He's not raging. He's not giving into his emotions. He's very amoral. He's very we're going to be efficient, and that means not coming after bodies. And I have like he has no sympathy, he has no compassion, but he doesn't even have any malice either. He's just get the job done, no matter what eggs you have to break and people you have to break. So this makes me wonder, did he fully undergo the process, and was he mostly a successful version of the process that later they tried to do with Crosshair that didn't work? Because maybe that would be why both of them have their hand thing, but that
so
he certainly Hemlock has it a lot more.
So would you be saying basically like Hemlock is like a shadow trooper version of a scientist? Like he used to have morals and was just this super smart guy, and then they like
I think he's kind of
zapped his brain.
I think he's basically been reprogrammed to some extent.
Okay. That's a very interesting take.
It is a very interesting take. And also, I wanted to clarify just real quick that the reason I had said like in your head was just because that's what Crosshair had said to AZ in anger. He was like, "You think it's all in my head?" So that's why I was referencing that. Sorry. But I think that's a perfect reference. But I think it's just a great example of he says that as though that's a very derogatory thing. Right. Correct. I agree. And I think that like, you know, from my perspective, I think it's probably a combination of things. I think that like there probably is like still some sort of physical tremor remaining from the experimentation, but I think that like, you know, trauma and everything he's gone through has probably made him like feel extreme doubt in himself, his abilities, who he is as a person. And when you don't even like trust in who you are or like know who you are, how are you going to trust in the skills that you've like worked on for so long? Like, I just think that like he has so much self-doubt that it's probably like, you know, enhancing whatever physical tremor is existing. And then to your point, Matthew, that's very interesting. I never really thought that Hemlock could be what's what I'm looking for,
shadow
trooper, or just like enhanced or changed in that way. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, you know, we're seeing we see the Empire has done that to many different people, like whether it's that robotic implant on the head to, you know, conditioning, like, you know, it would be interesting if they were trying to like enhance him, or if he really is just like a super evil man. But I didn't pick up on the Hemlock hand tremor matching.
Yeah, no, me neither. Danielle pointed it out, and I was like, "How dare you!" Now I'm extremely concerned for my baby boy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it's the same?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, I'm gonna take a second and pop another bottle of wine. And no, I didn't open the other bottle today, okay?
The direct eye contact you're making with the camera as you open this bottle of wine is wild behavior.
Who let me have a license over 21?
Oh boy.
The government, that was their first mistake. I'm all powerful.
I have to say I'm both relieved and a little disappointed you're pouring that into a cup. Because I thought our viewers were going to watch you just hit it straight from the bottle.
I did consider that since the other bottle was so low. I was like, do I just roll up chugging freaking Chardonnay out of a bottle? But no, I just basically filled a glass instead.
Okay. I just want to do like before and after on your lipstick, so we'll see how that lasts.
It's already bad because I tried 3 different colors and I didn't like any of them, and they're just missed.
Fair.
So
back to the episode.
Can we put a spoiler alert and discuss that, or do you want to wait on that longer?
No, I feel like that's the main thing to talk about. So many people probably know that the trailer had some spoilers for the episodes for the whole show, particularly about a character who has not yet appeared. And I'm often someone who really loves not being spoiled. I think, frankly, I would be enjoying this all a lot more if I hadn't been. So, but having been spoiled, I think there's a lot to talk about there. So if you have not yet seen any of the trailers, as always, thank you so much for being fans. Thank you so much for listening in. Please send us your feedback. Please send us your thoughts. I think we've already gotten some that I can't access because my main computer is dead, which I distinctly apologize for. We'll definitely be doing some of it on our next episode. But we're going to go into spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
Asajj fucking Ventress is back, bitches.
All right,
but she's not.
She's not. She's not.
She's about to be. Okay, she's about to be.
Okay, but hear me out. I also believe it has to be Ventress, but we saw Cad Bane in the trailer as well, and he is known for hunting Jedi. So they could be pulling a double fuck you towards us. If one could be playing us, and they like have to track down Cad Bane
in the same episode.
What'd you say?
What if they're introduced in the same episode? Like, what if she actually contacted Bane, but then like Ventress is like working against him, and they just.
I think that they're going to show up in the same episode as well. I think that Ventress. Yeah. I just don't know. I mean, it would make sense that Ventress is hunting. I don't know, because like, does it make sense that Ventress is hunting Jedi? She kind of made nice, whether we're like going with the events of the book or not. Like, she had made nice with the Council. She was kind of friends with Kenobi. She was in love with our boy
Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan, thank you, Quinlan. Like, she would make him friends with Ahsoka. Like, I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it'd be out of character for her to hunt Jedi versus Cad Bane feels very in character to hunt Jedi.
Well, a very good comment someone made was that Fennec Shand also seems like she's not hunting Jedi right now, like that she's kind of uncomfortable with that. And so it felt like they were kind of talking on that line. Let me back up a bit, though, because when Fennec got them involved and said that there was someone she wanted their help going after, am I the only one who thought she might either be going after Ventress, or more likely Ventress, like that this was the episode where Ventress was going to show up, because Ventress was either the prey or the bounty, or much more likely Ventress was going to show up as another bounty hunter going after it.
Yeah,
I did think that I did think the Ventress was going to show up one way or another.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't think about it once until the end of the episode when she was talking to someone, and I was like, oh, I bet that's Ventress.
That's fair.
So much happens in my life that I have no forethought to these episodes, which is like a good thing and a bad thing, because then I'm surprised like pleasantly every time, but also I don't have as deep of insight, but I will still talk my ass off.
I kind of wish that Matthew didn't know about it, so Erin and I could just know about Asajj and be like, "Woo, we know something." And Matthew, I'd be so curious to hear like what you would think about this, Matthew, if you hadn't watched the trailer.
I mean, I am right now very mad that I watched the trailer, and I think that, as I said, I believe in the writers. I believe in Filoni, but I also know this is being written by some wonderful people. That's not just Filoni. I don't think he even has lead on this show, so I want to give them all the credit. But right now, I think this is pretty bad, because if there had been no spoiler and Ventress had shown up at any point, it would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe it's Ventress. If we didn't know it was Ventress, we'd all be going nuts trying to figure out who could it be who Fennec was talking to. That would be really exciting. True. And then if it is Ventress, we'd all go crazy. Ventress is like going to show up, and then she shows up in the first couple episodes. I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. But now I feel like it's kind of the way I felt with Thrawn in the Ahsoka show. It's you built it up too much and it's going to be too late. And now not only is it not going to have the impact it could have, it's having a negative impact, because I think that when Ventress shows up, my first reaction is probably not going to be, oh my God, it's Ventress. It's so cool. It's like, all right, finally. Why'd you make me wait this long? Why did you tell me if you're going to make me wait this long? So that's where I am. I know I sound grumpy. I just think that, and part of me, to be honest, like, it's not like I chose to watch the trailer. I got spoiled on it. And it's a world we live in. I don't blame anybody. I think trying to have the idea of you go into the show without any idea that it's going to be Ventress who shows up is almost impossible in our world. And I just feel like for that reason, there was enough reason for people to watch The Bad Batch. Nobody needed to know that Ventress was going to be in it. And I think if you did need it, if you weren't interested in The Bad Batch and you only wanted to watch because Ventress was in it, you'd probably be pretty pissed by now. And if you're someone like me who's like, okay, cool, when is she going to show up? It just feels like it's going to be so anticlimactic now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm withholding judgment on that until she actually shows up. I mean, like, I get where you're coming from, Matthew, and that, like, you know, I think it would have been. It actually felt similarly to I know that, you know, there's different opinions on episode 9, but I don't know if y'all remember, like, the very beginning when Kylo Ren is first going down into the Exegol chamber and you hearing, like, Palpatine's voice and Snoke's voice and Vader's voice all in his head at the same time. And there was a spot that came out, like a TV spot that came out like 2 days before the movie premiered. And I'm like, and I watched it and I was like, well, wait, I didn't want to actually see that. Like, I would have loved if I, like, for the first time saw that in theaters would have been so cool. And then, like, having to watch it on my, like, my phone or my laptop, like, it just revealed too much. And so, like, I get where you're coming from in that, like, it kind of, like, it's just something that, like, while cool, we know what's happening, it would have been, like, almost internet breaking for Star Wars fans for this believed to be dead character to suddenly appear.
Yeah. It's like I said before, I probably would have Phantom Menace would probably have been one of my best viewing experiences if just the Darth Maul revealing his double-bladed lightsaber hadn't been shown in every ad that was shown.
Every fucking trailer. Yeah. That's what's hard about it is, like, I understand where you're coming from, Matthew, how it's like, it's so frustrating because they put it out there and it's something you're super hyped for, and then it just doesn't happen, and, like, the suspense runs on too long. For me, I am a very in the now enjoyer, to be honest with you. Like,
that's awesome.
It doesn't bother me. It's like, I know we'll get there. Same thing with Ahsoka. Like, I was thrilled we got so far into the show and didn't even get to Thrawn. Like, that's fine. I know we'll have time for Thrawn later. I can read the books. We can see him in the next movie, you know? That's, like, the way I see it. And maybe that's putting, like, too much hypothetical trust in the producers and writers of just like, oh, I'm sure you'll make it work in a way that I'm happy with.
Right.
And I've been this way my whole life, and it makes me kind of an apathetic viewer sometimes, but at the same time, it's nice to not have huge expectations because then you don't get let down as much.
No, and I think in many ways I'm very jealous of that. I think, like, to not have that in my head would be pretty awesome in some ways. So I think you should, like, that's a great thing. I think that probably allows you to enjoy things in the now in a really great way.
And this is why we have a podcast together, because we're different.
And to be clear, like, I think I, like, would enjoy. I'd be happy if I didn't know, but, like, I'm not mad that I do know because I also, like, am someone who I will watch a trailer the minute it comes out because I just love, like, anything I can get. I am just like, I need more in my life. But, like, episode ends and I'm like, I need more. I need a hit. I need something. And, like, getting a trailer, I'll watch a trailer on repeat. I mean, I remember when episode 7's trailer came out. I think I watched that thing 2,000 times probably. I was just like, every chance I got, I just rewatched the trailer. And so I think that, like, it got me super excited. Would I have liked to have had this part left out? Probably, but I'm not, like, actively angry. I'm just like, ooh, this would have been a cooler experience if it wasn't there.
Yeah. No, I'm not actively mad about it. It just, I just think, I just wish this wasn't happening because it's certainly not Acolyte. This is by no means, I said Acolyte because I've been thinking about that and how that trailer felt very different. That's going to be the bonus content, by the way. Great reason to become a member. Only $5 a month, $55 a year. You get access to bonus content, bonus episodes, all sorts of great stuff.
Wow, that was seamless, Matthew. Well done.
Why, thank you.
What a segue.
But of course now I can't segue back. But yeah, the point just being, it's not a huge deal. It just, like, come on, guys, do better. I think that there's, and I don't think it bothers everybody. I think Erin's great if you don't, but I just think that there would be ways to you know, pay it off a little bit better.
Yeah, just, like, enhance everyone's experience.
Because I do feel like at this point they've kind of written themselves into a corner where if it is Ventress who, well, kind of there's three things. A, because I do still care about the people who haven't been spoiled, and because I think the internet's going to go crazy for the next week of, oh, it was Ventress, wasn't it? It was Ventress, wasn't it? I think anyone who hasn't been spoiled, this is going to be their, last straw.
Yeah.
And what if it isn't Ventress? I think then there's going to be even more disappointment as we're all just like, okay, like it could be Cad Bane, one of my favorite characters, and I'd be like, fuck you, just tell me when Ventress is showing up.
No, I will lose my shit for Cad Bane. We're the same color. We are the people, the blue people.
I love Cad Bane. I love Cad Bane. It could be Hondo and no, if it's Hondo and Naka, I'll be like, fuck Ventress. Hondo's my boy. We're right.
Bro, if Hondo can't betray the Jedi, man.
No. He
that
can't.
would be so devastating.
The whole time. That was he hunted Jedi children.
Only once, and then
one time,
to make him nicer.
And then he tried to sell them into slavery.
No. Let's roll this back. That is a lie, and that is slander and blasphemy.
Oh my god.
Hondo Onaka wanted the crystals. He didn't want the children. He wanted to sell kyber crystals. And then eventually he was like, I'll endanger children for the crystals. But it wasn't kidnapping and trying to sell them into slavery. And then he actually ended up getting such a soft spot for them. He made it a whole show to make sure they built their lightsabers properly and let them escape. No. Hondo Onaka is my boy, and I will defend him to the day I die.
I just have a question for listeners who are also hosts of other podcasts. If you're hosts of a part of your podcast, or just there's some episodes where when you're not on them, do you actually listen to your own podcast when you're not on the episodes? Because if Erin had listened, she might have heard that we did a whole series of episodes on Rebels where we talked in depth about how this is Hondo slander and how everything that Alex just said, but even more importantly, I think it's pretty clear that the writers wrote Hondo to be a villain. Then, we're like, no, he's way too charming. Okay, he was going to sell the Jedi into slavery. Let's just forget about that part and make him nicer. So, that was his bad boy phase. I
accept your roast. I will say I listened to the first 2 seasons of the Rebels coverage.
There you go.
No more.
Hondo is the GOAT. He is my GOAT.
Oh, speaking of people who don't listen to the podcast, Alex, if you would have paid attention online, the post I posted on our Instagram, which you should all check out, SW Generations Pod on Instagram. It features only you, Alex.
Oh, I know it does.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't say anything to me.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you.
Remember what I was saying? The family dynamic that's developed among our little group here.
Literally, I thought. Wait, guys. Offended. Someone I know from work listened to our podcast. I was mind blown and terrified.
That's awesome.
Oh, I forgot to mention.
But please stop.
Dude, I met someone. I was getting burgers at this place in Minneapolis, and I was this guy saw my Star Wars. I have a sweatshirt with the Jedi insignia on it.
Oh, just one?
Okay, I was wearing one of them, and he ended up talking to me for 20 minutes about how much he loves Star Wars, how much detail he does. I'm talking about the podcast, and he's like, "I'm 100% going to listen." He gave me his number. He goes, "If you ever need a guest, let me know." I mean, and that person, he could talk. So maybe one day.
That sounds great. That sounds like a great thing to have brought up when we weren't live on air.
So sassy.
I will just say to all of our listeners, I hope you're enjoying these tangents. I do think they're enjoyable. They're all going to stay in the recording. But I will also say that normally I am also on video the way the other two are. And I think they've both gotten used to my don't make me turn this podcast around look to the two of them in the back seat while I'm driving the podcast. They can't see my face now, so we're going a little bit further out into the wilds, but we're going to pull us back one more time. There's a lot more we can say, obviously. I think, there was so much that was so good in this. I loved V showing up. My heart broke with just her little mention of tech and that she's doing it now, and just the way the actress delivered that line, you could hear just the tiniest catch in her voice, but then she just went on. I just loved it. So thoughts on V, thoughts on anything else in the episode before we wrap up?
Yeah, I had one more quick point. Do y'all think there's a chance, just a chance, that Shan is going to double cross the boys? Because the end was a little ambiguous. I can't remember the exact wording she said, but she was like, I just did work with some clones. I'll send you the info I have. And it sounds almost like she could be selling them out.
Yeah, that's exactly what they made it sound like, to me at least.
I don't think she's going to double cross them, because I think that's not
in her character.
No, it's that she has no allegiance to them. She has made no commitment to them. She has not said we're allies. She has not said we're working together beyond this one job. They wanted a piece of information from her. She had them do a job in order to get it. the transaction happened, the transaction was over. I think you were right. I think that like I think it is entirely possible that she will, she saw profit in working with the Bad Batch. At a later point, she may see profit in working against the Bad Batch. And I don't think she's going to sell them out to the Empire, but I think there might be something else involved for sure.
But to be fair, the transaction has not yet been completed. She has not delivered on her end of the bargain yet.
True. Very
That's
true. I will say I did love to see Fee, Queen of My Heart.
I said V, it's Fee, thank you.
Yeah, it's Fee, with a PH, but that's okay.
Omega loves her.
Omega does. That was also a really funny line that we got where they're like, oh, like Fee called us or something. Crosshair's like, who's Fee? And Omega goes, she's like a collector of, or liberator of ancient
I love this.
artifacts. And Crosshair just looks at her and she goes, she's a pirate, okay? She's a pirate.
To me, that was such a brilliant moment of writing because it was hilarious and it was a really good, just like moment of fun, but it also did something really serious of pointing out that Crosshair has missed things, It reminded me of when in college, I spent a year abroad, loved it, had an incredible experience, but I came back to my group of friends and they all had these references to things that had happened in the last year that I missed. And it sucked. And Crosshair has it even more, especially because like he didn't just go away. He was on the other side for a while. So
yeah.
I have two more quick points and then I'll be quiet. One is just that I really appreciated, and I just want to touch on the fact that Hunter took a moment to like privately pull Omega aside before they went off and was like, you try and help Crosshair. I think like one, it like gave her a mission, a sense of like purpose while the two of them were off doing their thing. And also Hunter knows that the only person right now Crosshair would genuinely listen to and be open and vulnerable with is probably Omega. And so he's like, I think realizing that and is like, the way to help Crosshair is through Omega. So like, please, like, it almost felt like he's like, forgiven Crosshair. He's like, now Omega, please help our brother. Like, please make him better. And I thought that was very sweet. And then a completely different vein, I cackled very loudly when they're hunting the praying mantis and Hunter goes, target's gone underground. And Fennec goes, underground? It's like, you heard me, underground. And I was like, that is actually comedy. That was incredible.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. A little moment I appreciated was with Omega and Crosshair when AZ, suggested, what if it's more a mental thing, not a physical thing? And Omega was like, I have an idea. And Crosshair goes, I'm not going to like this, or am I? And she goes, no, but you don't like anything. And he goes, that's true. Yeah. And it's like the two of them are just so sweet. Like, Crosshair is so tough, so daddy, but with Omega, he is baby girl,
Well, and it really reminds me of how in the episodes where we saw the whole team together, which was mostly in the 7th season of Clone Wars, because obviously the team breaks up very early in the first season, in the first episodes of the first season. Crosshair is always sort of aloof and distant and a little bit like, making those jokes that are like kind of on the line of cruel. And everyone just sort of like, they kind of like acknowledge that he's like a little hard to get along with, but he's their brother and they all tolerate him and they all love him. But
and
no one ever
come to bat for him.
Right. Yeah. But no one ever stands up to him. No one ever sasses back at him. And so I think that there's an extent to which that's one thing he really appreciates from Omega is that she doesn't put up with his shit. She's like, yeah, you're grumpy all the time. You don't like it? Who cares? We're doing it. And she's done that so often, including, as part of her rescuing him. And, it's that I think when people are used to being treated a certain way, having someone treat them in a different way, including one that is not quite as like nice at first, can feel very adversarial, but sometimes can be exactly what you need. That person who challenges you.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one quick thing on the Hunter thing as well is just that I just found the quote. He literally says to Omega, ignoring it won't make the problem go away. And I felt like an acknowledgement of the trauma that Crosshair had like experienced. It's like, we can't just ignore this. We have to help him. And it's like, damn. Daddy Hunter taking care of the babies again, taking care of the whole fam.
So true.
Original.
Erin, any last things from you?
Yes, I just want to point out, last episode, you guys both slandered me and you came against me in a way and treated me like I was stupid, like I was a stupid little woman. I'm kidding. But in this episode, we saw Hunter and Wrecker use vibroblades. Okay. You guys said last episode the only other person we've ever seen use a vibroblade was Cody, and that's why the shadow operative has to be Cody. And I said no, Wrecker used to use a vibroblade too.
Yeah, but then we said, I think, didn't we come to an agreement that, yeah, you were right, but it was only members of the Bad Batch and no reg besides Cody had one?
I don't remember that, but now I feel vindicated.
I still think it's Cody, and everything I'm seeing.
Oh, vindication, thy name is Mystique. We were wrong, though Alex won't admit it. Erin was right, and so we shall commit to saying we are sorry. Even though we both agreed with her, she did not hear that, 'cause at first we did not. So we are contrite, and she is vindicated. Okay, Erin, was there anything else that really touched you from this episode?
This has been the most unhinged episode I have ever recorded with y'all, and I'm here for it. Erin buzzed on the mic. Matthew did beautifully singing. This has been incredible.
Yeah, no, I don't think really anything else. Just as always, my boys are my babies.
Yeah, we love the batch.
Can't wait to see you next week.
Commander Cody, Rogue One.
Yep.
Boom.
Why do you suck? Why do you hate me?
I'm not a part of that. Just so you know, I think Alex is right, but I don't think we need to rub it in anyone's face. So there we go. Well, I've said on this show a number of times that I think, like, I'm wondering what's going to come next. Apparently, we now know what's going to come next, which is the Acolyte. We're going to have a lot more about our feelings on the Acolyte trailer in the members-only content. Again, you can become a member. Link is on the show notes, or just go to theethicalpanda.com. It'll take you right there. $5 a month. And, of course, you'll also find there all the great ways to contact us. We love feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Email us, tweet at us, Instagram, TikTok, whatever things you want to do, let us know. Erin will make kissy faces, Alex will make confused faces, and it'll be really great. So let us know what you all think. Thank you all so much for listening in. Stay classy, Tatooine.
What? He's stealing my line. Stay classy, Bespin.
You don't like anything.
Also spoken, I guess.
We have all spoken.
We've spoken.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, guys. As I'm sitting here looking at myself in the mic, getting more and more buzzed, I'm really obsessed with myself.